Okay, welcome back to my ongoing tutorial series for goalkeeping in TPS. Just a reminder that all of the content from this series comes from the full Goalkeepers guide that I wrote, available in my Discord server for free. So check the description if you are interested. Okay, so today we're going to be covering positioning as well as predicting opponents. So positioning can be a tricky thing to master, but it's worth the effort as good positioning is often the difference between an easy save and an impossible save. Remember that your ability to save shots is only as good as your positioning allows it to be. If you don't get this part right, it doesn't matter how well you respond to certain shots, as it will be impossible to even reach them. Most new keepers will allow the opponent to move them around the net all too easily. This is a bad mistake to make, as a decent striker will be able to aim at the other side of the net. And, well, this is a fatal mistake if you're against a good striker. This doesn't mean you should stay directly in the center of the net, but you should shift your positioning ever so slightly, just based on where your opponent is within the box. Here's a diagram I put together to show how dangerous each place in the box is to receive a shot from. So the yellow zone is what's known as medium range. The average shot from here should be relatively easy to save. The orange zone is short to medium range, so shots aimed from here may pose some threat if they're well placed. The red zone is short range, and this is where things start to get dangerous, especially against a good scorer. And then you've got the purple zone, which is known as the rush line. Once a scorer reaches this area or beyond, you must rush them immediately. Most intermediate to advanced players will shoot from the orange or red zones. The reason I'm showing you this is because I want to introduce you to a new concept that most keepers don't think about: relative surface area. Now, this word might sound all fancy, but it really just means how much space you take up compared to the net. Say for example that a striker is preparing to shoot from the edge of the orange zone. If your positioning is correct, the scorer will have this much area to aim at, which, like, it's not that much. Now let's say they were going to shoot from the front of the red zone instead. This is much more dangerous despite it being the same distance, as there is more area for the scorer to aim at. You may be wondering, what would the correct positioning be if the scorer is outside of the box? Well, for almost every situation where the opponent is shooting from outside the box, you can stay right in the middle of the net, because it doesn't really matter, where they shoot from, you can always reach it. The only exception is when there's a mosser in the box, but we'll cover that in the next guide video. In regards to camera positioning, by default it should be inside of the net. This is not a strict rule, and you can always move it out of the net when you rush and stuff like that. Prediction is something that you can't simply just be taught, it's something that will come with experience. I can, however, offer a couple tips for now. Firstly, you should pay attention to what types of shots most players around you are using. A year ago, aside from low-level players, almost every intermediate player would use Bernaldo, and that made it pretty easy to save shots. This has now changed. About like 25% of shots are now Bernaldo's, 25% are Red Kachus, 25% are Barra, and 25% are like a mix of a bunch of other shots. We'll be going over how to save each shot individually in a future video, so drop a like if you want me to work on that video soon. Prediction is mostly used when rushing the striker once they reach the rush line, so keep an eye out for the next guide video, as we'll be covering rushing among other useful topics. In terms of training what you've learned in this tutorial, it's pretty difficult to give a useful method other than just playing matches and trying out the tips you found here. It's worth giving relative surface area quite a bit of thought, because having a good understanding of that will make a whole world of difference when it comes to your goalkeeping. So yeah, that'll be all for this video. Be sure to check out the full written guide to goalkeeping through the server in the description. Completely free for anybody to view. Thanks for watching.